Hello everybody, good morning, and today I am discussing about a very important part of your biology syllabus, that is the tissues, animal tissue particularly, because in the last video I had discussed about the plant tissues, right? So animal tissues, okay, group of cells or group of cells which are having specific functions. So they are performing different functions. So naturally they have to be of different types. So first type is, you need a cover. Okay, the body needs a covering. So those tissues are epithelial tissues, covering of the body, the outer part and the inner part as well. In the all the different parts, the organs, they are there. Okay, so they are not only performing the protective function or covering function, they are also doing the absorption or secretions, right? Also, they are enabling the response to a stimulus. So in the sensory region also they are there. So these are the covering tissues, the epithelial tissues. Okay, and then the other type is the contractile tissue. Okay, the muscle tissues and the packing tissues, the connective tissues, and the coordinating tissues, which are actually responsible for control and coordination among all the body parts. So those are the nerve tissues. Okay, the nervous system, along with the chemical coordination, it is actually responsible for control and coordination. So the units, the tissues which are responsible are the nerve tissues, right? The epithelial tissue, as I just now discussed, can be of, actually are of different types. So very thin cells are there in the a type of epithelial cells or tissues. They are the squamous epithelial tissues. So they are present in the lining of the mouth. Okay. So these are the very small and thin-walled tissues, which are called the squamous epithelial tissues. Okay. They can be made of a single layer of cells, which are simple squamous epithelial, which are there in the lining of the mouth, lining of the vessels, blood vessels. Okay, so they are there, and then the other type is stratified. Stratified means having few layers. So our skin is having few layers of cells. So those are stratified epithelial tissue. Okay, the function is majorly protective function, but also they are performing absorption, secretion, as I said. And there are ciliated epithelial also, which are helping in the movements of the materials inside, like in the trachea, cilia is there. Okay, in the fallopian tube, cilia is there. They are helping in the trachea, they are helping the movements of the mucus, etc. In the fallopian tube, they are helping in the movement of the ovum. So, like this, ciliated epithelium is also there, and then you come to the glandular epithelium. So, various types of epithelial tissues are there in the body, so that different functions are performed. Okay, in the different locations. So, glandular means glands having secretions of enzymes and hormones. Right. Now we come to the other type, that is the connective tissue. Connective tissue can be connective tissue proper, can be protective or supporting connective tissue, bones and cartilages. So connective tissue proper, first of all we discuss, is the areolar tissue and the adipose tissue. Areolar tissue are providing elasticity. So like this, if you just stretch a little in the middle of the fingers, in between the fingers, so they will come up and they will go. The moment you leave, they will go back to their original position. So they are the areolar tissues. Okay. Now these types are the connective tissue proper. Okay. And adipose tissue is also there. Adipose tissue is also in this category, that is connective tissue proper. They are carrying fat below the skin, just under the skin, there are adipose tissues which are carrying fat. So then we come to some fibrous connective tissue also. These fibrous connective tissue, remember one thing, these connective tissues are having a substance, ground substance inside, which is known as matrix. Everywhere, in every connective tissue, this matrix is there. In the fibrous connective tissue comes the tendons and the ligaments. Tendons are connecting muscle to bone and ligaments are connecting bone to bone. Right? So these are the fibrous connective tissue. Then we come to the protective connective tissue, that is the bones and the cartilage. Cartilage is there in our lining of the nasal cavity. Cartilage is there. So they are also very compact and hard, but they do not have any vascularity. No blood vessel is there. So this you have to also remember about cartilages. They are semi-transparent, okay, and they are found in the tip of the nose, external ears, trachea, etc. Where they are found, these are the places, these are the locations you have to remember. Bronchial tubes between vertebrae and at the ends of long bones, right? Now bone you have to also study in these tissues because they are the protective or supportive connective tissue, and they are porous tissues. They are having a lot of blood vascularity, blood supply is there, okay. Blood vessels are there, nerves are also there. It consists of both living cells called osteoblasts and a rigid mass of inorganic salts also. Calcium, phosphorus, etc. They are in the bones, but they are having a living cells also, that is the osteoblast. Right. Now we come to the fluid connective tissue. The fluid which is connecting all the body parts, which are they? The fluids, they are the blood and the lymph. Blood, you remember, is red because of hemoglobin, right? And blood is composed of 55% of plasma, 45% of blood cells. And this 55% of plasma is having 92% almost water. And 7 to 8% your proteins and 1 to 2% inorganic salts. These plasma, as I said, is having mostly water, and the shape of the blood is fluid because of this plasma. Okay, and it is having some important proteins, albumin, immunoglobulin, and your fibrinogen. So these are the important proteins that you have to remember. They are in the plasma. Albumin regulating the blood pressure, immunoglobulin strengthening the immune system, and then fibrinogen helping in the blood clotting system. Converted into fibrin, which is the actual clot. Okay, so these are the proteins which are there in the plasma. Inorganic salts and other substances, whatever they are in the plasma. All the minerals, etc. Okay. Now we come to the cells part. RBC, WBC, platelet. RBC containing hemoglobin, carrying oxygen to all body parts, biconcave shape. They are having a lifespan of 120 days, formed in bone marrow, destroyed in liver and spleen, right? And main function, as I said, carrying oxygen to all body parts in the form of oxyhemoglobin, releasing oxygen there in the tissues and also getting back CO2, which is released or exhaled through the breathing. So this is the part, this is the function of the RBC. Okay, is the smallest cell, does not have nucleus. Why? Because it has to accommodate oxygen and has to carry to all body parts. This is its main function, right? Then WBC is amoeboid in shape, is having nucleus, is having cytopodia, by which it engulfs the pathogens, and is called phagocytosis. There are two types, granular, agranular. Granular means which types? The neutrophils, eosinophil, basophil. Mainly neutrophils, which are doing phagocytosis. Then the agranular, not having granules, okay, in the inside in the cytoplasm. So which are they? Lymphocytes and monocytes. Mainly lymphocytes about 30%, neutrophils about 70%. So this comprises the WBC. Main function phagocytosis. Body response is due to WBC. Okay, when it fights against the pathogens, right? So these things you have to remember about WBC. Formed in bone marrow, destroyed while fighting with the pathogen. So dead WBCs are found in pus sometimes. Now the platelets also very small cells, devoid of nucleus, helping in blood clotting because they are releasing thromboplastin, which is at the site of the wound, which is converting the prothrombin into thrombin, and then thrombin converts fibrinogen into fibrin, which is the actual clot. So these all are present in the blood, but how they are, step by step, they are helping in the blood clotting. Actually, these platelets are responsible for this. So this is all about blood. Now lymph is also fluid, 96% of water, and the cell part is only WBC, lymphocytes, not RBC or platelet. They are absent. Main function, the big molecules which come out from the capillaries, they send them back to the mainstream through veins. Okay, lymphocytes are there which are not only killing the pathogens but also forming antibodies against a specific pathogen. So this is the function of lymph. So these are all fluid connective tissue. Okay, then we come to the muscle tissues. Involuntary, voluntary, and cardiac muscle. Involuntary, we don't have direct control. Like in the muscles of the intestine, in the stomach, do we have any control? No. Peristalsis, the movement of the muscle on the walls of the stomach and intestine, especially stomach, when we talk about peristalsis, we don't have any direct control. In the beating of the muscles of the heart also, the direct control is not there. So in the flow of blood in the vessels, we don't have direct control. So these are all involuntary muscles on the walls. So they are also known as smooth muscles or non-striated. And voluntary muscles are striated. They are having bands. We have direct control on all the main parts of the limbs, etc. Other body parts, we are having a direct control. We can move them according to our will. So these are voluntary muscles. They are also known as striated muscles. Okay. So these are two types, and the third type is the cardiac muscle, which is the main layer of these walls of the heart, that is myocardium. So these are the muscles on which we don't have direct control. So these are all involuntary muscles, but there are some fibers on the heart muscles which are having on which we are having some control. So they are striated, or they are voluntary muscles. So about the cardiac muscles also, you have to remember that they are of both the types. Involuntary in function. Cardiac muscles are involuntary in functions and found only in the walls of the heart. Okay. The fibers of cardiac muscles are striated. Cardiac muscles fibers are striated. That means they are voluntary muscles, uninucleated and branched. They are relatively short. Okay. They can contract without outside stimulation and do not get tired soon. So both the types of muscles are there in the cardiac muscle, voluntary as well as involuntary. This you have to remember, students. And then we come to the neural nervous tissue or the nerve tissues. The unit of nervous system is which tissue? Which neuron? Neuron is the cell which is making the nerve tissue. Okay. Then the structure of the neuron, you have to always remember. A cell body is there, which is also known as cytone, correct? And the extensions from its cytoplasm is there, finger-like projections, which are dendrites. And from the cytone or cell body, a long process comes out with its nerve endings, and process is called the axon. Okay. In the cell body, we have a nucleus, we have nuclear granules, okay, and the axon is also protected by myelin sheath, which protects it from overlapping of the impulses, right? Because impulses are moving very fast, so overlapping should be prevented. So that is done by the myelin sheath, and these neurons are called myelinated neurons. And in the gap, there are gaps in the myelin sheath, which are known as the nodes of Ranavir. And there is another layer, the outer layer, which is called the neurolemma. So this is the structure of the axon, actually the long process of the neuron. And it is having its nerve endings, and between two neurons there is a space which is called synapse. So there are neurotransmitters, some chemicals in the synapse which are helping these electric impulses in passing from one neuron to another. So this is the structure of neuron, and this is how the function is taking place. The details of how these impulses are transmitted you will learn in your your higher classes, maybe in your further chapters. So this is the structure, the knowledge of structure and function of these nerve tissues you have to understand. So these nerves are made up of what? These neurons only. The axons jumbled, in a sheet is called a nerve. The the upper region is free, but the axons are jumbled in a sheet. That comprises a nerve. So this is all the nerve tissues, okay, made up of neurons, right? So I think this is all about the animal tissues. This much you have to know in this class, but these studies will continue as you keep on studying biology, right? And any query, anything you want to clarify, plus let me know. And I wish the very best. One thing I will say, that don't be worried and don't have any tension. Just do your work sincerely, not only in your academics, but in all the stages of life. You will be successful, you will be happy. Okay, thank you very much. God bless you all.